Okay. Hello, everybody. I think everybody is already connected now. It's 2 p.m. We will start this third episode of Planning Matters, dedicated to housing observatories. So I am Sébastien Roland. I am the head of international activities at the Lyon Town Planning Agency. Very proud to host this third session. And I will have three colleagues of mine who will be presenting our activities in terms of housing. But right now, I will not yet. Housekeeping first. So please turn off your mic. You can, please. I have already one open. And also, just to let you know that we are recording this session. And don't hesitate to ask your question in the chat box during the session. So we will find a way to answer to your question at the end. Thanks to all to being connected. Cécile, floor is yours for the short introduction.
Thank you, Sébastien. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present again a bit Planning Matters and say a few words about who we are for those who don't know yet. So Planning Matters is the European platform for discussions and exchanges between urban planning agencies from European cities. And our goal is to bring together planning experts from European cities to cooperate, exchange on common challenges, share knowledge and experiences. And all in all, it's to promote the importance of urban planning across Europe and to engage with the EU as well, who has more and more impact on our work. So if you are representing a planning agency, the urban development or urban planning department of your city, or if you are part of an urban network active in Europe, you are of course welcome to join Planning Matters. As you can see on the map, we are now 23 members from cities, planning agencies, urban networks. And you are welcome to join at any time. Just a few words about the focus of 2026. As announced, it's on planning and housing. And as part of our work program, we have imagined a series of 5 webinars focused on the links between housing policy, and spatial planning across cities and regions in Europe. Why housing? Mostly because the EU is strengthening its action on housing with the EU Affordable Housing Plan. And this was actually the topic of our first webinar of the season. The EU has also in its drawers a series of initiatives already out or to be published soon, like the Housing Simplification Package, for instance. And for us planners, there is an obvious link between housing and planning, but this link is not necessarily super clear for the EU. So with this series, we want to discuss how housing is linked to social, environmental, and economic priorities in cities and in the EU, to the non-Atlantic objective, and to urban sprawl, and to a lot of other aspects of our work. Here on this slide, you can see the whole program for our webinar seasons. So the exact date of the episodes are announced gradually. And today we are at episode 3. And I give the floor back to Lyon for the rest of the session and the presentation.
Thank you very much, Cécile. Then I will leave the floor to my colleagues. First off, presentation will be done by Nicolas Chausson, and I will let you introduce your colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Nicolas Chausson. I'm a town planner working on planning housing in Urban. I will make this presentation with my two colleagues, Anne Francioso, who coordinates the Housing Observatory, and Laura Bigarel, who is a town planner too and working on the planning and housing strategy. For this presentation, we will show you some parts of the Housing Observatory, and we'll explain to you its philosophy, its governance, and its organization. And Laura Lou will focus on the local rent observatory, which is a specific monitoring tool. To begin, I'm going to introduce Urban Lyon, which is the Lyon Metropolitan Area Town Planning Agency. There are 53 agencies in France, as you can see on the slide. Agencies are non-profit associations. In Urban Lyon, we work with 53 partners dedicated to the public interest, which are, for example, urban areas, several cities, and other public partners such as state, transport, water, agriculture authorities, and others. Urban Lyon is an engineering tool whose purpose to facilitate emergent and the implementation of common policies. As you will understand, we work on several teams like economic development, transport, including housing. We work on several scales at Urban Lyon. The largest one is the Lyon metropolitan area with 3.9 million inhabitants and two main urban areas called Métropole, la Métropole de Lyon and la Métropole de Saint-Étienne. The Lyon metropolitan area is a diverse region with more than 80% of undeveloped land, such as natural spaces. In the center of the Lyon metropolitan area, there is the Grand Lyon, la Métropole de Lyon, with 56 municipalities, 1.4 million inhabitants. The main city is Lyon, with 500,000 inhabitants. This is the third city, the third biggest city, largest city, sorry, in France. Like many other European cities, the Lyon metropolitan area is facing challenges. The first one is the residential attractiveness and affordable housing. Indeed, Lyon is an attractive city and a residential hub. It generates pressure in housing and residential market. We wrote some issues on this slide. First of all, are the difficulties in producing enough housing in the context of shortage of land, the non-net land take, and the rising of construction costs. There is also the rising of real estate values, the growth of the short-term rental market, some tension in the private rental market, and the growing of the demand of the public housing. For example, in 2023, we record 10 requests of social housing for only one allocation. The second key challenge, like other metropolitan areas, is to anticipate the demographic changes and the population needs. The growth of the number of people living alone, the aging of the population, the decline in family size are transforming housing needs. The needs of the population and the housing requirements also raise questions about the quality of housing, particularly in the context of adapting to climate changes. I say this at the time we have just been through an intense heat wave.
Hello, I'm Anne Francioso. I'm a town planner in Urban Lyon and I coordinate the observatory. So the Housing Observatory is established since 2010 as a territorial monitoring tool to support the implementation and evaluation of the Lyon Metropolis housing program and later the local urban plan and housing strategy. Its objectives are to collect, structure, analyze, and share housing-related data while facilitating access to information on housing and living conditions, to bring together a network of partners around a shared, detailed, and place-based understanding of housing issues, and to provide knowledge for public policies and spatial planning documents. So the Urban Planning Agency coordinates several thematic partnership observatories, as you can see in the petal diagram. The Housing Observatory hosts 2 specific monitoring systems, each with its own governance. The Local Rent Observatory, which my colleague Laura Lou will present in more detail later, and the Territorial Observatory for Student Housing is a decision support tool that gathers quantitative and qualitative data on student housing. It identifies and maps the full range of dedicated student housing across the territory and monitors changes in this housing stock over time, and it provides a profile of the student population. The Housing Observatory benefits from a system of shared political governance, bringing together an elected representative from the Lyon Metropolis Authority and an elected representative from the wider Lyon metropolitan area territories outside the metropolis. Since 2022, the Observatory's political governance framework has been extended to include the partners' inter-municipal authorities of the Urban Planning Agency. The technical governance is provided by the Housing Department of Lyon Metropolis Authority and Master Plan Authority in partnership with the state. And the agency coordinates the Housing Observatory. The observatory is supported by a mapping and statistical tool called GeoClip Habitat. This tool provides access to local data on a wide range of topics and administrative levels across the master plan area. We have more than 300 indicators integrated and updated over time, and new thematics indicators are added each year in response to partners' needs and requests. And the GeoClip Habitat is publicly accessible through the agency's website. We also develop a dedicated web GIS application. For example, a senior-friendly accessibility map who identified height-friendly streets and neighborhoods where older people can move around easily, access local services and shops, and find a cool place to rest during the period of needs. We also have a social housing atlas. It's a geographic information tool displaying the distribution of social housing stock by housing providers across the municipalities of Lyon Metropolis. And we also have an interactive map showing the location and approved community non-trust housing projects. And except the senior-friendly accessibility map, the use of these tools is restricted to the Metropolis Authority and Lyon and Villeurbanne City. We carry out thematics analysis and studies tailored on the needs of our partners. So we use quantitative and qualitative analysis capabilities, including databases and statistical processing. We produce a production of reference visual outputs and mapping tools, as you can see on the slide. And we make interviews and surveys to incorporate the perspective of local stakeholders and place analytical thinking within the specific context of each studies. For example, of topic studies, the housing inclusion and social integration, or the energy reduction or homelessness and housing exclusions. And all our studies are available on the agency's website under the Housing Observatory section. So the observatory is also serves as a platform for dialogue and collaboration with our partners. Each year, the observatory organized and lead a workshop debate on a particular term. For example, in December 2025, the subject was the long-term vacancy in the private housing stock. It brings together professionals from the housing, researchers, and local stakeholders to share their feedback, exchange views, and deepen discussion on territorial issues in the responses provided. And twice a year, the Club Habitat bring together professionals to share and discuss the local real estate situation. Hi everybody, I'm Laura Bugarel and I will present you our local rent observatory. So first, why do we need a local rent observatory? Good question. To design effective housing policies, we first need a clear understanding of the private rental market. And this is precisely the purpose of the local rent observatories. There is a national network of local rent observatories created in 2013 in France to provide reliable, objective, and comparable information on private sector rents. Today, as you can see on the map, the network covers 67 urban areas across France and relies on 37 observatories. The network is coordinated by ANIL. This is the French National Housing Information Agency and operates under a harmonized methodology validated by an independent scientific committee. The Lyon Metropolitan Area Local Rent Observatory has been part of this network since 2015. Its role is to provide robust knowledge of the private rental market in order to support public authorities, real estate professionals, and residents. One of the key strengths of the observatory network is its nationally harmonized methodology. Our observatory covers the entire private rental market, furnished and unfurnished dwellings, apartments and houses, newly rented units, and existing tenancies. Every year, we conduct a large-scale survey of private sector rents. Data are collected from both professionals, property managers, and private respondents. In 2025, more than 30,000 rental contracts were collected across the observation area. Around 70 professional and more than 1,500 private respondents participated in the survey. In the Lyon metropolitan area, analyses are carried out using 10 rent homogeneous zones, grouping areas with similar rent levels. The analysis cover 5 construction periods, 2 dwelling types, house, apartment, the dwelling size, and the furnished and unfurnished status. The observatory is not simply a survey, it is a robust statistical system that produces official reference data. In fact, and this is important, the Urban Planning Agency is officially recognized as a producer of public data and has been accredited as a local rent observatory by ministerial decree. This diagram summarizes the main steps of our data production process. First, we start with data collection from 2 complementary sources. We have privately managed dwellings through a telephone survey conducted by trained survey interviewers over a 6-month period. And second, we have professionally managed dwellings using both national property management databases and data provided directly by participating property management companies. Once the data have been collected, they go through a process of enrichment and standardization. We improve data completeness and quality by cross-referencing historical observatory databases and land registry information. The next step, in yellow, is data validation, which includes a series of quality controls and consistency checks to ensure the reliability of the information. Finally, the dataset is statistically weighted in order to guarantee that it is representative of the entire private rental stock. This rigorous process allows us to produce robust, comparable, and policy-relevant data on local rental markets. But such detailed knowledge of the rental market is only meaningful if it supports public action. So the data produced by the observatory are a genuine decision support tool. They improve knowledge of the rental market, but they also contribute
to the design, implementation, and evaluation of housing policies. The observatory's results are used in several housing policy instruments. The best known example is the rent regulation scheme implemented in Lyon and Villeurbanne. Just a few words about this scheme. So this scheme has been in place since November 21, and having an accredited local rent observatory is a legal prerequisite for implementing the scheme. Every year, the observatory's work is used to establish the reference rent levels set by the prefect. And more broadly, the observatory helps monitor market developments and assess the impact of public policies. So to conclude, the local rent observatory is much more than a producer of statistics. It provides a shared evidence base for all stakeholders and involved in housing policy. Let's stop here. The floor is yours.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Don't hesitate if you have any remarks or questions to write it down in the chat box. We will have now a few reactions from already prepared ones, actually, but we will take all the questions at the end, so don't forget them. Put it in the chat box, and we will try to answer them at the end. Maybe Cécile now?
Yes, thank you. As Sebastian announced, we wanted to have a few reactions to the presentation from the team in Lyon, also a bit to compare the respective tools. So we want to give the floor to Yves van de Castel. He's the Brussels housing officer, and he will give you some insight of the Brussels Capital Region housing observatories and monitoring and how they operate. And before I give him the floor, I just want to give you a bit of information about what is the Brussels housing officer, because maybe it's a kind of a special position we have here in Brussels. The position exists since 2016 within the Brussels administration to boost the provision of public housing of all types and also private housing, but for social purposes. And the main responsibilities of the Brussels housing officer are to maintain an up-to-date overview of public housing projects in Brussels, foster cross-sectoral collaboration between housing stakeholders in Brussels, and raise awareness of housing issues, particularly in the public sector and in the Brussels capital region. So Yves, please, the floor is yours for a tour of the Brussels housing observatories.
Thank you, Cécile, and thank you for the presentation. In Brussels, we have a housing observatory, and as a housing referent, I coordinate this observatory. But this observatory is made by for the moment, six different observatory are monitoring. Yes, next. And which is based on a legal definition by the housing code, and it's very classical. The missions need to collect and process statistical data, carry out study, looking for forward-looking analysis, and of course answer to asks and demand of the government. Yes. Next. Sorry. Yeah. So the first observatory is the housing permits observatory. So it's directly related with the planification tools, especially the regional land use plan. It exists since 2003. It's a publication, 10 issues for the moment. The next one will become next year. And all of our observatories are monitoring are downloadable on our website, perspective.brussels. And the housing permit observatory analyzes the dynamics and the spatial distribution of housing authorization in Brussels. So new housing in Brussels. Yes, it was good. Thank you. The second one goes about the urban function observatory. It's also directly related to the assessment of the Brussels land use plan with a global analysis of the new production in square meter per urban function. And there is one chapter about housing, and for the moment there is 2 issues, the last one in 2024. Yes. Next. This one it's a monitoring on public housing projects. It exists since 2016, 8 issues for the moment. The last one was published last week on Monday, and the analysis goes to the trends in public housing construction in the BCR, Brussels Capital Region, and also about the spatial distribution of dwellings of social nature. Next. The 4th one is also a monitoring for student accommodation. There is one issue in 2026. The data are collected since 2025, and as an analysis, it's an assessment of the needs with a comparison with the spatial distribution of the supply. Next. The 5th one is also a new one, is a monitoring about the evictions from housing. The data was collected since 2023, but there is only one issue for the moment. The next one will still come in this year. And we have, for the moment, a big problem of to receive the data, because we don't have a regional trust third party to anonymization the data that we should receive from the justice. And so for the moment, we are working with the municipalities, and 16 of the 19 Brussels municipalities collaborates for the moment. And we answer for the moment at three questions: how much eviction, where does it happen, and which intensity of this eviction. And yes, next. And the last one, we also have a rental observatory since 1993. 15 surveys with 3,000 to 5,000 households at each time, and with publications. But the last one is already some old, 2020, and we hope, logically, we should receive the budget to make a new survey in the beginning of 2027 to complete data received from the registration of rental lease. Is a new database existing by Brussels Housing, another administration in Brussels, since a year. So thank you.
Thank you, Yves, for the overview of all the observatories linked to housing that we have in the region. Before we open the floor for the discussion, we have one last intervention regarding the beginning of a European project looking at housing observatories, but from a very different scale, you will see. We have invited Emma Giesinger to give us some insights into the Dialogue project. That's the name. Emma is a spatial planner from Vienna. She's based now in Brussels and active in various housing initiatives. She works at the University of Liège in Belgium. She participates in 2 cross-border spatial planning projects who aim to strengthen the governance in the greater region. And the project she will tell us about is called Dialogue. It is an Interreg Greater Region project that aims to establish a cross-border housing observatory. So Emma, please tell us more about the project.
Yes, thank you. So as you said, I want to present you another housing observatory that is on the way, which is on a completely different scale, like you said. We're talking here about cross-border housing monitoring system for the greater region. For those of you who don't know the greater region, it's the territory around Luxembourg. So we have Luxembourg in the middle, and then a part of Germany, France, and Belgium. So the neighboring regions. And like it's very typical for Interreg projects. There is to ensure also a governance and linking the project to the lived reality. There are multiple partners involved, and there is a mix between financial, more academic partners and strategic partners. I will not go into detail to all the partners we have, but so this is really to make sure that that also for the future this project will persist. And I want to just really quickly to understand the context, what we're working on, and also the specificities and the challenges that come along. I want to explain you that I think it's relatively known, but so Luxembourg in the middle has very high economic growth rates, and this leads to a lot of workers coming, but also obviously high pressure on the housing market. And this not only for Luxembourg, but also for the neighboring regions. So this was the initial reason, or one of the initial reasons, why there is a wish or a need to have this cross-border housing observatory, also to have the possibility that these countries compare better their challenges. But and that's also why I wanted to talk about this today, because it has very specific challenges working on a cross-border context. And now, after 6 months, we're starting also to really face these challenges, which come along with different ways of collecting data in each country, and different standards and different, for example, categories on how to measure affordability, or the size of houses and apartments. So there are multiple challenges that we're facing, but it was already foreseen from the beginning, it will be as best as we can, and to make it the most comparable as possible. And that's already almost it. I also wanted to talk about the fact that we want to integrate this data in the course of the project in an already existing geoportal, because there is always this question of temporary projects. This project is for 3 years, and so the question is always what's going to happen after. But by integrating it in an existing portal, we hope to have that it lives longer. And if you can always contact us if you have hints or questions. I think there are multiple other cross-border regions where similar projects are coming up. So I think it would be also cool to exchange knowledge on these challenges.
Thank you, Emma. Just a question, when the results of the project will be available, and are there any opportunities for other cities or regions to contribute at some point? Did you plan some activities or workshops or something?
Yeah, so like I said, the whole duration of the project is 3 years. There is an intermediate goal to finish with the indicators, because the project is not only about the data collect or like the data harmonization, but also in a second and third step, analyzing of the different policies and adding with best practices. So the intermediate step for the pure data collection is end of the year, but I'm not sure if it would be published directly. So I think it will be rather the end of the project. And for the collaboration, the scope, the scale is fixed, so it's the greater region, and so everything that is outside will not be integrated in the project. But I think we can always, especially exchange, like I said, especially exchange on how we face specific cross-border challenges. Yeah. And maybe one more thing I forgot to say is that we're working on specific topics also, which go a bit together with what you presented before. But it's housing stock, housing affordability, non-Atlantic, and residential mobility. So it's also, I think, similar topics a bit to everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Okay. Sorry, we have some microphone issues. Nico, please, I give you the floor for the discussion.
Yes, and now you have to take your microphone off. And everything's fine like that now? Indeed. So we are coming to our discussion of the end of the webinar. We have a few questions regarding these important facts and observatories. A first one coming from my colleagues sitting next to me here is a question to all of you guys from Lyon and Luxembourg. Well, you're in Brussels, yes, indeed. Regarding where you get your stats from. Do you use a lot of Eurostats? Or does the EU really help us in order to compile all this information into easily readable and findable map browser or something like that?
Maybe from Lyon, an answer from Nicolas.
Yes, in Lyon, we use the
On peut
national.
allumer.
Not,
C'est ton
You can
micro,
use?
Jean-Marie.
Go ahead.
Okay, in Lyon, we use national statistics from INSEE, National Statistic Authorities, and we create.
The sound? Everybody hear us?
You can't hear us?
Yes, I do.
Again,
I hear you, Nicolas Chausson.
okay. In Lyon, we use national statistics from INSEE, the National Statistic Authorities, and as Laura Lou said, we create some statistics too, but we don't use statistics from Eurostat or authorities like that.
And Emma, on your side?
Yeah, it's a bit the same. Like we don't create our own data, but we're really mostly based on national and regional statistic portals, often even the regional ones, considering that we want to work on the lowest level possible. So until now, no referring to Eurostat.
Okay. And I guess we can go to the question that we have on our side here from Alice Pittini from Housing Europe. Is it basically, do you see any scope for collaboration with observatories established at the local regional level in other countries in terms of topics, indicators, but also capacity building?
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I guess the question is more for you guys.
Urbalio?
So we work with other French observatories, and it's already quite difficult to work on similar indicators because we have a different way of treating them. And so working with other countries could be interesting, but I think it's quite difficult. It's like Emma said, it's like there is the data subject, but there is also the public policies. Yes, that's it.
I think it could be interesting to share about national policies, what we build in France, like what is the policies in other countries. We can compare the rent observatory from France, from other country, and maybe we can
Improve.
And
Get inspiration.
Get inspiration from your public policies. And in Urbanium, we don't speak with other country in this kind of subject. And I think it will be interesting to improve on that.
And I can also add that because we are part of a national federation, I know that maybe Brigitte is also online, the National Federation of Urban Planning Agency. We share a lot at this level. So yeah, that's something that we manage to do on a regular basis.
Okay, and we would like to have some point of view coming from Barcelona, from Joan Cabarrozet. We were discussing earlier, we had a few questions and we were wondering what were your positions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. I just have a quick question from here. The question is about if you use this data that you collect to support local policy, a dynamic local policy, for example, if you detect a lack of housing in an area, you can promote some policies in this area to promote more housing. But when this housing is already provided, this policy decline. So this type of policy, dynamic policy, that depends on the data in each time, if you use this data for that. I don't know if you understand my point.
Yeah, it's questions for Lyon, I guess.
Actually, we effectively use dynamic data because there's an experimentation that's done at the state level, which is how do you say how to mitigate increase of the rental prices, rental regulation. And this is based on the data that we collect and the analysis that we do. So each year we can process to some updates on this data and give it directly to the housing policies to regulate the rental prices. So that's something that we use as an experimentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Sébastien. Yves, you were raising your hand. Would you like to add some information regarding these questions?
Yes, but it was about the collaboration with other observatories.
Yes,
no, just to explain that in Brussels we have no collaboration for the moment. So we are looking for that, but we try to make something like that about the monitoring of eviction with our two other Belgian regions, but it was so different in Flanders and in Walloon than in Brussels. Even the issue was not the same. So it was very, very, very difficult, and so not possible. So if it exists some observatories in other region cities like Bremen or other European city, we are certainly candidate for collaboration.
Anyone in the audience has a monitoring of eviction? Raise your hand and tell us.
The moment to share.
Housing Europe.
Ali Ditini.
Hello, everyone, and thanks a lot. Extremely
Welcome.
interesting. No, I just wanted to, well, first of all, put my question into perspective. So as Housing Europe for a few years now, we've been in touch with a number of local observatories, and we had, so across Europe, and we had a couple of joint sessions led by us and the Barcelona Metropolitan Housing Observatory, bringing together also other examples across Europe on specific topics. So the last one was about how each of these entities measures affordability. And I think this is something that it's a bit paused for this year, but we would like to bring this forward. And about evictions, which is a good suggestion, but I think so, for instance, the Barcelona Observatory is monitoring that pretty closely, also because they recently put in place changes in the rent regulation settings. And there was also a European project a few years ago, which was quite interesting, but it hasn't been repeated yet. And maybe this is something that we could bring to the attention of EU institutions, whether it could be interesting to replicate. So that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. A question here from Hendrik Baumann. Is it mandatory for private developers, housing providers, to share their data with public authorities or the observatories? Dion? Or Yves, maybe? Or Emma? Any
Yes,
ideas?
we can give an answer. Maybe on the two last questions, but for Claudia and Hendrikus.
Yes, in Lyon, we have some data from real estate values. We buy every year data which are created by another institution and who collect the data from the real estate providers. So we buy these data and we use these data for, we put these data in our observation systems. But we have also national data which come from taxes databases. But it is very difficult to use these data because it's not a databases for observation. It is not, so we have to transform the data to use it and to put it in our studies.
Okay. Any more questions in the audience? I could take one here on the side from Sonia Vesser-Martino. How does data on long-term vacant dwellings are included in local rent observatory? Or when are you also interested in including data on non-residential buildings or other that could be repurposed into housing? Quite technical.
Rents.
I may answer for Brussels. In Brussels, they are not included in the local rent observatory, but there is in Brussels the university has 2 or 3 years ago made an estimation of the number of long-term vacant dwelling in Brussels, and they conclude that there is between less than 1% of the dwellings that they are on a long-term vacant. So for us, it's not relevant in a local rent observatory.
And maybe I can say for the greater region, we wanted to also take this as an indicator in the topic of housing affordability, but it was very quickly, we realized very quickly that it's very, very complicated on that scale. So it's nearly impossible. So there is, if I remember correctly, in Germany, there was quite some good data on that, but then in other countries, it was not the case, or it was not comparable. So on our scale, this will not be an indicator.
Okay, thank you. Quick mention from Cécile here. Cécile?
Yeah, just wanted to say, because we mentioned several times student housing, student accommodation, how to monitor, how to observe the trends there. And just so you know, it will be the focus of our last episode in November. So with some examples from us, actually mentioned by Yves in his presentation, and hopefully one or two other cases. So stay tuned. Just I wanted to service message.
We still have 2 minutes, 3 minutes for
There is
some
one
last questions
question
regarding anything, really.
There is one.
from Lucia.
Lucia.
Maybe I read an interesting question about the link between analysis of housing and the land use plan and master plans.
Yes.
Maybe Nicolas?
All of the data from our observatory are used to make diagnostic of master plan, and in the law we have to use official data to build our strategic development policies. So it is the purpose to the observatory to build these indicators for all of the public strategies.
Okay, well, thank you all for these interesting answers. And I guess, as usual, we all agree that we want to have a shared platform and regarding all these informations and data on the various observatories of our metropolitan regions. Cécile?
Yes, thank you all very much for being with us today for this third episode of the Planning Matters program of webinars. I wanted to thank deeply our host and presenters from Urban Lyon, and also everybody who contributed to this webinar, so Emma, Yves, and all the participants in the audience. We will, of course, share the slides with all the connected participants, so you have the information you can read at your own pace. The recording also will be made available on YouTube if you want to watch it again or share it with your colleagues. And just before we close the session, we have a couple of announcements, or rather opportunities that you might find interesting in the coming weeks and months. So last Friday, 19 June, the European Commission launched officially the European Housing Alliance. And this alliance is an open platform to support achieving the objectives of the new European Affordable Housing Plan that we discussed already in our first episode. And the objective of the alliance is to connect all levels of governance, both at the political level and expert level. They want to develop a work program for 2027 with different priorities in it. We know that already more than 650 organizations are already registered to be part of the alliance, and new members can join at any time. So really, we invite you to register and raise the concerns and priorities of planners. And I think Alfredo put already the link in the chat to go on their website and register. It's a simple questionnaire. There's not too much difficulty there. Then the second opportunity for Eurocities members mostly. So Eurocities, the network of European cities, they have an open survey on the housing simplification package. So this is only for cities who are part of the Eurocities network, because you cannot access the survey if you are not a member. So remember that this housing simplification package is set to be published in 2027. And this survey is made to gather input from cities on the upcoming text. and therefore contribute directly to the commissions. They will publish later a call for evidence. There will be also stakeholder consultation on the text. So really, if you want to already send your input, the survey will remain open until 21st of July. You can send your answer directly to Anna Yafisco. The email address is on the slide. And we also have the link to the survey, but you only can access it if you have a membership access. So apologies for all the others who are not Eurostis members. And finally, one last opportunity. The European Commission has launched another call for expression of interest for concrete examples of projects, partnerships, solutions that can help accelerate affordable, high-quality home renovations across the EU. So if you're interested, you can submit your project or initiative until the 21st of August using an EU survey. This is the link on the slide and will also be shared in the chat. This is mostly an initiative for visibility of your projects and initiative. And we will also share again all these links to the 3 opportunities in the follow-up email. So this is the end of our episode. We will be back after the summer break for the 4th episode of the series, this time hosted by colleagues from Amsterdam in September. You can stay tuned for more information about it. And I think with this, thank you to everybody. Thanks a lot for sharing your time with us, for your insight, your expertise. Take care, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Bye.
Bye.